The forgotten anniversary. Eve and Sam had been married for 6 years. In the beginning, their marriage was filled with excitement and warmth. They laughed, shared dreams, and spent hours together, never running out of things to say. But, as often happens with time, the demands of work, life, and responsibilities slowly crept in. Eve worked as a teacher, and her days were filled with lesson planning and caring for her students. Sam, on the other hand, was an accountant, working long hours to meet deadlines and manage the financial demands of his firm. Though they still loved each other, their marriage had fallen into a predictable routine. Mornings were rushed as they prepared for work, and evenings were spent eating dinner in front of the TV, both too tired to talk. Weekends, once reserved for fun outings and quiet moments together, had become filled with errands and chores. The spark that once defined their relationship seemed to have dimmed, though neither of them wanted to admit it. The turning point came on the day of their 6th wedding anniversary. Eve had been looking forward to their anniversary for weeks. She hadn't mentioned it to Sam, hoping that he would remember on his own. Every year, they had celebrated the occasion with a special dinner, a gift, or a heartfelt card. Eve longed for something simple, just a gesture to show that Sam still cared, that he still saw her as more than just a person he shared a home with. But as the day went by, it became clear that Sam had forgotten. He left for work early, kissed Eve on the cheek as usual, and rushed out the door, oblivious to the significance of the date. Eve's heart sank. She spent the day at school, trying to focus on her students, but her thoughts kept drifting back to her marriage. How had they reached this point? How had their love become so ordinary, so neglected? That evening, when Sam came home, he seemed tired and distracted. Eve sat across from him, her heart heavy with disappointment. The day had come and gone without so much as a word about their anniversary. Finally, unable to keep her feelings bottled up any longer, Eve spoke. "Sam, do you know what today is?" Sam looked up from the television, his brow furrowing. Wednesday." Eve shook her head, her voice trembling slightly. "It's our anniversary, Sam. 6 years." Sam's eyes widened in shock. "Oh no, Eve, I'm so sorry. I didn't even realize. I've been so busy with work, and it completely slipped my mind." Eve nodded, but the hurt was already there. "I know you've been busy. We both have. But it feels like we've been drifting apart for a long time now. It's not just about the anniversary. It's about everything. We don't talk anymore. We don't spend time together like we used to." Sam's face softened, guilt and realization washing over him. "I didn't mean to make you feel that way. I love you, Eve. I know I've been distant, but I never meant for us to lose what we had." Eve sighed, feeling a mixture of relief and sadness. "I love you too, Sam, but love isn't enough if we don't show it. I miss us. I miss the way we used to be. It feels like we're just going through the motions now, like we're living parallel lives." Sam put down the remote and turned to face her fully, his expression serious. You're right. I've been so caught up in work, trying to provide for us, that I didn't notice how much we've been drifting apart. But I don't want to lose what we have. Eve looked at him, her eyes searching his for sincerity. Neither do I. But we can't keep going like this, Sam. We have to make time for each other. We have to put our marriage first, or we're going to lose it. Sam nodded, his heart heavy with regret. You're right. I've taken you for granted, and I'm sorry. I don't want us to become strangers. There was a long silence between them, but it wasn't the kind of silence that had defined their recent interactions. This silence was filled with understanding, the beginning of a new conversation. A conversation they should have had a long time ago. That night, instead of watching TV in silence, Sam turned it off, and they sat together at the kitchen table, talking. Really talking. They talked about their fears, their disappointments, and the things that had been left unsaid for so long. They talked about the pressures of work, the stress of everyday life, and how easy it had been to let their relationship slip into the background. But most importantly, they talked about what they wanted for the future, how they could start making each other a priority again. I miss our weekends together, Eve said, her voice soft. Remember when we used to go on those long drives? Or when we'd spend the whole day at the park, just talking and laughing? Sam smiled, memories of those carefree days flooding back. I miss that too. We used to make time for fun, for each other. We need to get back to that. They made a promise to each other that night, to be more intentional about their relationship, to make time for dates, to talk more, and to never let their love become a routine again. They knew it wouldn't be easy, that life would still throw challenges their way, but they were committed to putting in the effort to keep their marriage strong. The next morning, Sam woke up early. He went to the kitchen, pulled out a notebook, and wrote a heartfelt letter to Eve. In it, he apologized for neglecting their relationship and promised to do better. He thanked her for being patient with him, for loving him even when he hadn't been the best partner, and for reminding him of what truly mattered. He left the letter on the kitchen table, along with a single rose and a note that said, "Let's make today our anniversary." When Eve came downstairs and saw the letter, she felt a warmth in her heart that she hadn't felt in a long time. As she read Sam's words, tears filled her eyes. Not tears of sadness, but of hope. It wasn't about grand gestures or expensive gifts. It was about Sam showing her that he still cared, that he was willing to make an effort to rekindle what they had lost. That evening, Sam came home with a small cake, and they celebrated their anniversary. Not the one they had missed, but the one they were creating together. They shared stories, laughed, and made plans for the future, just like they used to in the early years of their marriage. It wasn't a fancy celebration, but it was exactly what they needed. Over the next few months, Eve and Sam worked on their marriage. They planned regular date nights, took weekend trips together, and made sure to carve out time for meaningful conversations. They learned to recognize when they were slipping back into old patterns of neglect and made a conscious effort to stop and reconnect. Their relationship wasn't perfect, no marriage is, but they had rediscovered the importance of nurturing their love. They realized that it wasn't enough to say I love you. They had to show it through their actions, through the little things that brought them closer together. On the first anniversary of their new celebration, Sam surprised Eve with a handwritten card and a home-cooked meal. "I'll never forget another anniversary," he said with a smile, "because every day with you is worth celebrating." Eve laughed, pulling him into a hug. "As long as we keep celebrating us, that's all that matters. Love needs attention and effort to thrive. It's not enough to say I love you. It must be shown through small acts of care and connection. Even when life gets busy, relationships need nurturing to stay strong."
Thank you for listening. Like, subscribe, and share our channel Magic Mingle with your friends to enjoy more magical stories.